Hi, this is Bonnie from Blackberry Bog Farm. One of my favorite things to do when I have a few moments is work with glass. And thanks to a rainy weekend, I got to try out a project for making a bird bath that I'd been wanting to do for a long time. Here is me starting to cut all of the pieces for this bird bath. This took a while. There was a lot of repeating pieces here, and as you walk through this piece, the glass was tough. It felt really thick. I don't think it was, but it felt really thick. And so I needed to cut out a lot of pieces and over and over and over again in some different colors. So I was starting here with this yellow, what it looks like yellow, as you'll see towards the end. The interesting part about this project was all of the glass that I was working with changed colors while it was in the kiln. So that was also a fun piece in designing this particular bird bath. I am not a very good cutter, and so you'll see that these ended up being quite jagged as I kind of started piecing them together. So I really relied quite heavily on my grinder here to smooth everything out. I didn't have a pattern for this. I used some ideas that I had seen from a YouTube video, a pattern that I had seen on a stained glass in a book, a catalog, and kind of used those for some ideas to get started here. So I spent a lot of time trying to make sure things were fitting together really well, because the idea for this bird bath was that the pieces were kind of fused together, and that's what was going to hold everything together, was things being kind of in close proximity to each other and layered on top of each other. So as you'll see here, using the grinder gave me the ability to really make sure that the pieces were going to fit together. I use a Sharpie, and it does come off really easily, but I used a Sharpie to keep track of all of the different pieces, because it kind of started out somewhat similarly, with the idea of kind of these flowers that were kind of these three pieces. You'll see towards the end, I ended up kind of changing up the design quite a bit. So now I needed to figure out how everything was going to actually fit together and hold together. Originally, I was thinking that I would use those rods that you see there in the middle as kind of the way to hold everything together. But they just ended up being such a different texture from everything else that I ended up finally cutting pieces of glass and making them hopefully look like vines as a way to start holding everything together. So everything had to be layered on top of each other in a way that everything would be able to fuse to that piece of glass in the middle and make a cohesive bird bath. So that took a little bit of really thinking and making sure that none of the pieces were actually loose. And I actually ended up layering up some of the flowers. Everything got washed and then placed in the kiln here. So you had to recreated everything, got it all laid in there nice, and then had to figure out what I was going to use for a firing schedule. I'm very new at this. I've only ever made a couple of soap dishes prior to this. Here's the piece after it's been tack fused together. You can see the color changes here. The yellow turned to orange, the clear turned to yellow, and the white actually got more opaque. So it's flat now, so we need to slump it. So here's the mold that I'm going to use. It's a big 19-inch mold that just fits into my kiln that's out in the barn. So you take this flat piece here, and we're going to actually lay it on top of that slumpy mold, and then we'll use the heat to turn it into this concave shape that it ended up being. So I bought a stand from Amazon, and here was the first chance to get to see what it was going to look like. Super excited about how well it fit in this stand. We put it out in the plant yard here at the farm stand, and the ground was just a little bit unlevel, so you could really see that with the water sitting in it. But super excited how this turned out, and hoping it finds a wonderful home with someone.